Welcome to the Grizzly Times podcast with Louisa Wilcox, a place devoted to all things grizzly, where we interview scientists, managers, Native Americans, and others about their perspectives and experience with bears and their ecosystems. This comes at a critical time in a complex debate about grizzly bears, with the recent restoration of endangered species safeguards for the Yellowstone bear, but a new proposal to strip protections for Glacier's grizzlies, and when warming temperatures and development are transforming the bear's world. We hope that you find the information and views offered here useful as you shape your own conclusions. This is Louisa Wilcox with Grizzly Times, and the second of 4 episodes of my interview with Estella Leopold, the last remaining offspring of legendary conservationist writer and philosopher Aldo Leopold. Here, Estella shares stories from the Shack, a degraded farm in Wisconsin that the family brought back to ecological health, and which became the epicenter of many family adventures, including bow hunting with handcrafted bows and arrows.
Well, we children used to like to tell the story about when we first saw the shack and the property.
Yeah.
It turned out that Dad had already put money down on the lease to lease it.
Okay.
Because it was up for taxes. Taxes hadn't been paid. But anyway, so we were on a cold February or early spring day. We were driving in on this road, and we came to the opening of the farm, and there was a row of elm trees going perpendicular to that road, right down to the little barn you could see in the distance. And it was muddy road, and the road directly in was in the marshy area, so we just drove a circle around to get into the shack. And we got to the shack, we all got out, and it was cold, and there was no door. There was one window, and the holes in the roof you could see through. And as Dad said, it is enough. Some of those holes are big enough to throw a cat through, he said. Trying to be funny.
Yeah.
There was a lot of work to be done. Anyhow, the question was still in the air, was he going to buy this place? But we didn't know he'd already
Put money.
committed on it. But anyway, so Mother turns to Dad and said, well, Aldo, we walk into this barn, and there's this pile of manure about a foot deep in the back part, frozen solid in the back of the barn. And so, yes, Aldo, what do you think of this place, Aldo? And he said, I'm very excited. We have so many opportunities here. And Mother said, yes, there'll be lots of challenges. Anyway, so the answer was we all were intrigued and very pleased. Eventually we fell in love with the place. And we started working on every weekend of life after that.
Yeah.
I mean, every weekend we would go and visit the shack as a family.
Yeah.
Drive 50 miles up and 50 miles back every weekend.
Yeah, and there just so much work that you did, and that I mean, it seemed like every kid had a lot of skill and a lot of back into it. There's a photo, I think, maybe it's in your book, of Luna building the Parthenon, your outhouse.
Starker, yeah.
Oh, was it Starker? Okay.
Yeah.
But it was like.
Oh yeah. He loved that experience, and we loved him for it. And Dad said, well, let's go to the dump and see if we can find a door for this place. And we did. That door came from the dump. And then we also found a table in the dump, which is our present day table.
Oh my goodness.
In the cabin.
Wow.
And well, let's see. Then we set about fixing the roof, which was with a lot of available lumber that was around the farm. We tried not to buy new lumber if we could manage to get old pieces that were actually recycled. That was one.
Wood.
That's my bird clock.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Yeah, that's beautiful. So, Yeah. So did he have a vision for replanting forests, or or did it just come as you all went?
I guess
there
it just kind of came. But right away we were taking these long walks to explore all around us. Mm-hmm. And I told you about going up north, upstream, and discovering this patch of about 10 acres of mature pine forest.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Lovely pine trees. And Dad wrote quite a bit about that grove of trees and praised it and said, "Oh, that's what we need. We got to have." And then we proceeded to plant all the trees very close together, which was the wrong idea, but we didn't know it then.
Right.
Later.
Yeah. Well, it's just more work and more lessons. But, the idea of restoring prairie, I don't think anybody was really thinking about that. And it sounded like you had to go get seeds and find where the plants were along railroad cuts. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
I can tell you a little about the evolution of this. Yeah. It was right after Dad had bought the cabin property. He was roped into doing a talk to a University of Wisconsin audience because he had been appointed director of the new Arboretum, which was an old farm that was going to be refurbished according to his ideas in native vegetation. Yeah. And he was on the stage with the microphone with Yellow Thunder, who was a chief of the Winnebagos, elderly gentleman, and all dressed in full garb according to the press reports. Right. And they both spoke. And the Dad spent a good deal of time telling the audience that this is an opportunity to find out what our original vegetation in Wisconsin was really like, and to try and bring it back and to see whether it can be refurbished. Right. And that was, when we heard all that, we could just imagine that we kids would be involved because he would want to do this on the cabin property.
Right.
And here Estella gives you a sense of the fun.
There was a lot of creativity. And like I think I wrote about the log we called Napoleon, which we dragged up from the river. Oh yeah. And Dad managed to put 4 maple legs under it, so it became a bench. So there's pictures of it. But we creatively, and Luna made a nice pine top to the table that we had got from the dump, and Starker made the privy, and I told you that story. Yeah. It was just everybody pitched in.
Everybody pitched in. Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lovely picture of you and your dad on a bench with an amazing back.
The slide hill bench.
Yeah. That was beautiful.
That was a cottonwood 2x4. It had lain around in the sun for 20 years or 15 years and had gotten curved. Right. And Dad saw it and said, "I know where we can use that for a bench." And we Nina and Dad and I dragged it up the hill and put it between 2 elm trees there and built the bench. But we call it the slide hill because we were sitting on this slope and on our fannies, and we just kept coasting down slope all the time. It was very hard to see in one place. Right. So anyhow, that was fun. Yeah. And while we were doing all that, Mother was sitting over on the edge knitting. But Nina, Dad, and I built that bench. It was fun. Which eventually rotted, didn't it?
Oh, did it? Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, you seem to be one of the family entertainers with your singing and guitar playing.
Well, I think it was Luna and Carl and I that did most of the guitaring and singing. But whenever Starker was there, he participated. But he was so often long gone. He spent 3 years or more in Mexico doing his exploration of their wilderness areas and documenting the wildlife there. Yeah. So we didn't see him so much. But when he was there, he participated fully.
And probably picked up new songs.
Every night at the cabin we would sing, and all the way driving home at night on Sunday, we'd just sing it together in the car. And so one time Dad said to Mother, Estella, you know what I want for my birthday? And Mother said, what? He said, a guitar. A guitar? He said, yes. He said, so the first person, one of the kids that learns it can have it. So the kids' mother sent the boys downtown, and they picked up a guitar for $8 at Sears and Roebuck.
Oh, okay.
And they brought it back, and we immediately began to try and figure out how to use it.
Right.
And they tuned it, and they were sitting there for several days making up chords until it occurred to Luna that we should look in the Encyclopedia Britannica to find out how the guitar was supposed to be tuned.
Right.
And it turned out we had tuned it wrong.
Right. Wow.
And so all those chords they had invented were of no use. So we'd start all over again, which we did.
Oh, how funny.
But it was funny.
That is funny. That is funny. Yeah.
And every summer we were in Santa Fe for the fiesta.
Oh,
Mother
you
wanted
were?
to go and visit the family.
Yeah.
Her sisters, which she missed. So we would go down and by train, or sometimes once in a while by car, and would be going to in full dress to the fiesta, our Mexican dresses, and the boys would wear these pleated pants with beautiful red insets, so that when the pants flared, there was this red inset, and their cowboy hats and wonderful-looking vests. Very much fun.
Back to Estella's mother. Here, Estella Jr. shares how her mother and father got together.
But anyway, Mother, she was very. They were all attractive women, sisters, 6 of them, and apparently, Dad's boss said to the Foresters that Ringland, that you ought to come down to Albuquerque and meet these Bergere Sisters. They're pretty nice women. And the Foresters finally did that, finally came to a dance in Albuquerque. And Luna told me that when he took Dad and he went to Hotel Alvarado or whatever it was, Dad said, I'm bringing you here, Luna, because this is where I met your mother. Oh. I wanted you to know. So, well, that was the occasion, and it was in 1911. And from the letters, I could see he was beginning to write home about this Estella person is a real peach. And then a little later, he wrote his sister and said, let's see, I have to tell you, unquestionably, I now know for sure that I love Estella. And he said, are you as worried about my interest in Estella as my father? So Carl Leopold came all the way down to New Mexico to meet the family before the wedding to make sure he approved. And he immediately wrote back to his wife, Clara, this is a wonderful family. They're all so nice to each other, and they're lovely people. And some of them very beautiful. The most beautiful was the oldest, Anita. She was apparently a winner. And the next was Estella, but Dad wrote back that although Anita is the loveliest, there's something about Estella that is so especially fetching. So anyway, he picked her out early on.
But your mom was engaged to somebody else when he proposed.
Yes, he was Jameson. And Dad felt very pressed by this. And I was just reading yesterday the letters, which are on file, about Dad to his mother saying, but I am, I can assure you, I will block Jameson. I am on the road. I will block Jameson. Okay, and he did eventually.
That's great.
Yeah, that's fun.
But your mom was definitely a partner in everything your dad and obviously your family did, and she seemed like the ultimate trooper. I mean,
she sure was.
Yeah.
Just the moving to the country in Tres Piedras, in that little Mia Casita bungalow, where she was used to having help, servants in the house, and lots of help and garden, everything. And so all of a sudden, it was all her challenge, which she embraced fully. And of course, as a horseman, she knew her way around. Mm-hmm. But she had a lot of fun. They apparently had. But when Aunt Marie came to visit, Dad's sister, they were. There's a picture of them sitting out in front of the Mia Casita that's still on file. And I was going to tell you, Aunt Marie told me this story, that she was visiting Mother and Dad at Tres Piedras. And that Mother said now she'd ordered a chicken from the neighbor to have we're going to have chicken for dinner. And would Aunt Marie please go down to the neighbor's house right down, which is not close by, but near enough, and asked the lady for the chicken, please, so that she could start working on it for dinner. So Aunt Marie went down, and was to her amazement, the woman came out and handed her a live chicken while she was holding it by the feet. So she brought it back up, and Estella said, well, yes, I'll tell you what we have to do. We have to kill the bird nicely, and we have to pick all the feathers off, and they worked together. And then the next thing is Mother was cooking it in a Dutch oven.
Oh yeah.
Over the fire, or on the, if they have range going at that point. And so Mother became quite the cook, and was an excellent cook, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. Yeah, your dad cooked quite a bit with the Dutch.
Dad was an excellent camp cook. Yeah, between them, Dad always cooked the meat when they were in the country.
Right.
Estella's mother was also an incredible archer. Her story of her mother's prowess as Lady Diana, which the newspapers called her, also gives a sense of her parents' relationship and family adventures, here involving craftsmanship, practice, and competitions. And finally, some funny deer bow hunting adventures at the shack.
I need to ask you about her prowess as an archer. It seemed like she was quite an amazing...
Oh, she was. She was better than anybody in the family, and then Dad. You see, it goes back to when Dad began to build archery equipment in 1926. And he started, he had accumulated, he had been at Yale in the Robin Hood Society.
Oh!
Which was, I don't know if it's still going, but I found it on the web, so I think it is still going. It's an honorary society.
Okay.
And one of the things he gave Mother while they were engaged was a little pin with Robin Hood on it. That you'll read about it in the Mineys. The pin meant a lot to him because of it was an honorary pin at Yale.
Right.
Well, anyway, he always loved bows and arrows, apparently, because he started in 1926 making bows, and they were beautiful. His father was a craftsman, and so Dad was really elegant craftsman. Not only that, then he began to make all his own arrows.
That's amazing.
And he would buy these staves, which were arrow length and square, and made of a particular kind of wood, probably spruce, light wood.
Yeah.
And he would sand them till they become round.
Right.
If you can imagine.
Exactly round.
Sanded.
Yeah.
When he worked at the Laboratory of Forest Products in Madison, he got a hold of a motor which would permit him to put these these blocks that had grooves in them, shaped like an arrow, and sandpaper over the stave and rounded them off.
Wow.
So that they were, and rounded this machine, they would turn the stave, and he would sand them down, and then he would take them up. And I was a little girl watching all this in the basement of the house, and these are the late 30s, 36, 38, 40.
Yeah.
And Dad would take the arrow and he would roll it in his hands and look down like that. If it wasn't absolutely straight, he'd throw it away. And then he would, this was all the basement work. And then as they would sit after dinner in the living room and Mother reading to Dad, Dad would be fixing the feathers on the arrow. We had a little gadget that would put them in exactly the right position. The 3 feathers positioned around the arrow tip, and put the groove in just so.
All right.
And got these glued together, and let's see. And when Mother would get sleepy, Dad would say, "Well, dear, I guess it's time to go to bed." So they would take off together, but they would read together every night.
Oh, how lovely!
Always, whenever the opportunity sprang up.
Yeah. Well,
so that was fun.
Yeah. And so your mom took up the sport. It sounds like you all kind of did.
Well, Mother, they would immediately, they went to the field and started to practice with roving.
Yes.
At fake targets, let's see that stump over there, we're going to try and hit to the left of it or whatever.
Yeah.
And Starker was very active with this, and Luna. Carl did a little. And the rest of us kind of trailed off. Anyway, it turns out that Mother was unusually good, and they decided, let's enter one of the archery tournaments. Dad said, so let's go down to the Wisconsin tournament. It's going to be in Madison. So they did, and Mother won first place in the women's for the first year, just like that.
Wow! Wow!
And Dad was so proud of her.
Oh, yeah, that must have been.
And the press was going gaga all over Mother.
Right.
She kept saying, it wasn't me, it was him. He made all this beautiful equipment, and that's why I was able to hit the target so well today.
Well, your mother was humble for sure.
Oh, she was very humble, right?
Oh, that's great.
So that was fun. So this just went on, and pretty soon, 4 years in a row, first place woman archer in the state of Wisconsin. And then it was even, then there was the national, and it was held in Chicago.
Oh.
And she took 4th place in the national.
My gosh.
Yeah, I mean, she was really good.
She must have been.
Yeah.
Oh, that must have been a thrill for her to have.
Oh yeah, Dad was so proud of her, and Dad. I haven't been able to finish looking at these, but Dad kept immaculate records about each of their skills, is exactly how many points. Each time they went to practice.
Right.
At each archery tournament, and Starker was a very good shot.
Yeah.
Very good. Mother and Starker shone, and Dad sometimes placed. I think I told you that.
Yeah.
Anyhow, that was really fun.
Yeah. I read about your family attempts to hunt deer on your shack land and how difficult it was. And it's amazing that Indians could survive with that.
Yeah, it was
fun. So what was that like? I mean,
it was fun. Well, one time it was challenging. I went with Dad, and by the way, they had hunting bows and they had target bows.
Okay.
Sometimes they had 2 target bows for hunting, and sometimes 2 for target.
Wow.
Practice. Anyway, I was with Dad, and we were going up and down Levee Road, which is the road into the shack. And at that time, it was just a muddy road, hardly ever traveled. And as we were walking downstream very, very slowly, we looked across a very vast hay-mown field, and a deer started to cross this across right angles to us, across this field, and Dad, I could see him pulling up, getting ready for his shot, and I immediately dropped to the ground to be out of the way so it wouldn't affect him. And he took the shot, and it was 100 yards away.
Wow.
And it went right over the deer's back. Just right over the back, about this far up. But can you imagine?
That's a long shot.
Yeah, that's a long shot.
That's a really long shot to get that close.
It was a long shot, but he did it. It was really fun. And that was one of the weekends they were hunting. There was a deer hunting season that year. And then later, I think I wrote this one up. Dad and Carl said, we've got to put Mother in a place where, as a good shot, she's really going to get a deer. So they marched her up on and I was not with her. I wasn't there. They took her up on the side of the hill, somewhat upstream from the position of the Leopold Center today. And she was standing there waiting for whatever was going to happen, and a deer came along. But it turns out there were some grapes behind her, and she had put her bow down to reach over and get a few grapes, which she had in her lap.
Right.
And, of course, missed the shot. The deer was standing there, going right by, only about 14 yards away. She could have gotten
She
a
could have gotten
shot.
it, given the shot she was, yeah.
When Dad and Carl came up to see her, hey, Mom, how'd it go? How are you doing, Estella? Mother said, oh, he was beautiful, dear. He was so beautiful. He went away.
And everybody got a good laugh.
And they laughed and they laughed. It was really funny.
That is funny.
This interview with Estella Leopold continues in episode 3.